is presented by Benjamina Mia Casino. Licensed real estate professional since 2008. License number S01669991 LLC.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
PHLV Radio.
It's a lunch hour in Vegas, and we're on the dot with Dot and Mia here on PHLV Radio.
Hi everyone, welcome to On the Dot. It's an exciting week for all of us, for most of us, because it's Thanksgiving week, and I know a few people who have been practicing 30-day gratitude, 30-day Thanksgiving for the most part. So we're doing it. I'm very thankful. I've been practicing Thanksgiving, so to speak, or gratitude for over 6 years. Every day by putting something in a piece of paper, putting it in a jar, something I'm very thankful for every day for the past 6 years. So yes, this is my week. Thank you so much for being here with us on the dot. My partner Mia is not here. She's fortunately for her, she has a job. So I will not say unfortunately, she has a job. She's very fortunate to have a job at the airport. So Mia, hi, if you're watching this later. And we are also fortunate to have a very wonderful guest with us today. My name is Dorothy Tom. You're on the dot. This is your holding space for positivity and possibilities. So without further ado, I will go right ahead and introduce our guest. Let me remove my wonderful spectacles. Okay, our guest is Rae Wilson. She spent over 2 decades in corporate America as the corporate vice president of a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded gaming company. Ooh la la. Her stressful career, yes, just reading that line is very stressful. Her stressful career, out of balance lifestyle, and desire to find a better way prompted her to become passionate about emotional intelligence training. I love that. In her encore career, Rae owns P4 Training Solutions, a performance development and leadership training company where she helps individuals and companies perform at their optimal level. Training focuses include leadership, communication, emotional intelligence, very important, organizational culture, and transforming personal and team dynamics. I hope at the end of the show, Rae, you will give us your contact details because people might want to hire you. Our listeners might want to hire you. From physicians, professors, executives, and business owners to soccer moms, Rae also provides personal coaching with outstanding proven results. She is also an author. She published a book titled Be Your Most Influential Self in Every Situation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rae Wilson. Hi, Rae.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to share with your audience.
Thank you for being here. So tell me a little bit about the one that you left, the corporate America that you left.
Okay. It was a wonderful, wonderful job in many, many ways. I worked for this gaming company for 25 years.
Is it here in Las Vegas? Or
Well, it
else?
brought me to Las Vegas.
Okay.
A little backstory. The gentleman that ultimately became the CEO, he had inherited part of the company from his father. who owned a construction company, and he was an attorney and an MBA. He went to work for his father, and when he was 29, his father passed away unexpectedly. So he inherited this construction company, and they built an addition to a gaming company in northern Nevada. As part of the payment for that company, they received shares in the gaming company, so that's how he even got into gaming. And through many circumstances, he at some point bought out his partners and owned the gaming company. Shortly after that, he got into a car accident and became quadriplegic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, and that, changed the trajectory of his life, obviously. And because he had always had a sleep disorder and now really was immobile, he put all of his time into this gaming company and ultimately parlayed it from these two little casinos in northern Nevada to a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company with, properties across the United States, and moved the corporate headquarters to Las Vegas. And so that's how I relocated with the company and moved to Las Vegas. So that's how I got here.
That's how you got here.
Yes. And, it was such a wonderful job because, he was brilliant. Truly, truly a brilliant human being. And the one great thing about him is he would always give you an opportunity. If you could do the job, he didn't care about race, religion, creed, education. If you could do it, he would give you the opportunity. And so I worked my way up in the company to ultimately becoming a corporate vice president.
Wow.
But of course, that took a big toll because of the time investment. And, it was definitely a competitive environment, in a certain way, a good old boys network. And so I was very successful, but also extremely stressed out, exhausted, out of balance, and it took a big personal toll on me.
How did that show up for you, the stress and the out of balance? How did, for your body and your relationships?
That's such a good question. Well, because of his physical condition, he worked, and when I say 24 hours a day, I truly mean virtually.
I believe that, yeah.
Because he had always had a sleep disorder, so he couldn't sleep at night. So I would work for him 2 nights a week. I would work all night, go home, take a shower, and go to the office without going to bed.
Oh, wow.
So I was so exhausted and sleep deprived for years. And, you just can't operate that way for years and years and not have a physical toll, mental toll. You're just sort of in you're not in your optimum state when you're exhausted all the time. And while I had a wonderful husband and wonderful kids, not being there was a very high price to pay.
Okay.
And at some point, despite the fact it was such an incredible job, I said, this cannot be all there is to life. I've got to find a better way. I've got to, get into balance and, deal with the turmoil that caused me personally. And that's why I became so passionate about emotional intelligence, because I could have had all of that same success and not be stressed out and not be exhausted.
Repeat that. You could have had all that success
and more
without being stressed out.
Exactly.
Had you known how to deal with your emotional intelligence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I hear a lot about emotional intelligence from people who say it's not just IQ, it's not just intelligence quotient
Right.
that would get you places, but it's EQ or emotional quotient. Is that the same?
So what I say is IQ is your raw intelligence. EQ is how you use it.
Okay.
Because there are people that are just truly brilliant with a high IQ, but they don't know how to relate to people. They don't know how to manage their stress. They don't know how to lead people or communicate. So while they have a high IQ, they have a low EQ. The people that are truly successful are, first of all, balanced within themselves and able to motivate people, to lead people, to build a team, to create an optimal culture, and to have a team environment.
Right. Is there a measuring device for this?
Well,
Maybe
like
not, no?
there's IQ, there is a quotient. I wouldn't say like a number quotient, but there is a lot of science behind EQ.
Yes.
And your emotions drive your heart rhythm. At the most basic level, our heart is always beating, of course.
Yes.
But the shape of our heart rhythm follows the emotion that you're experiencing. So when you're in what we call a coherent emotion,
I was going to say the exact word. Heart-brain coherence, yes.
I have a license from Heart Math, so I teach all this.
You do?
I
oh
do.
My God, I'm just reading about that. Go ahead.
So Heart Math has published all the science of how
Yes.
your emotions affect your heart, your brain.
Yes.
So at the most basic level, the shape of our heart rhythm follows whatever emotion that we're experiencing in the moment. So when we're experiencing positive emotions, our heart is beating in an even, organized, what we call
Yes.
coherent state.
Yes.
The minute that we shift into a negative emotion, the shape of our heart rhythm goes into an incoherent or
Yes.
out of balance, disorganized shape.
True.
So that's at the most basic level. But what also happens is that our heart and our brain are in constant communication. Actually, we tend to think that our intelligence is in the brain, but the brain is really a processor.
Yeah.
The impulses begin in the heart. And whatever emotion you're in determines which part of the brain you access. So in positive emotions, you access the frontal lobe, where we have what we call our executive functions, reasoning, problem solving, creativity, the ability to choose our behavior. But when we're in those negative emotions or in an incoherent heart rhythm, out of balance heart rhythm, the impulses go from our heart to the back part of our brain, which is our reptilian brain, which causes fight, flies. We go into fight, flight, or freeze, and then we are no longer choosing our behavior. We're repeating old behavior patterns.
Correct.
And then there's all this other science of whatever emotion you're experiencing determines the hormones and chemicals that you release
so true.
in your body.
Yes.
When you're in positive emotions, you release DHEA, which is the vitality hormone, the feel-good hormone. When you're in negative emotions, you release cortisol, the stress hormone, which stays in your body for 12 hours. So it has a spiraling down effect. And there's so much more of the science, but while there might not be a specific EQ quotient like there is an IQ quotient, there's a whole physiology that happens following your emotions.
I believe that so much because I'm reading Dr. Joe Dispenza, his two books. You know, You Are the Placebo and How to Become a Supernatural Human Being. And I do his meditations morning and evening. And it's amazing how I shared one of his interviews with my sister, and she followed him. And in just a span of 1 week, drastic changes occurred in the family. Drastic in the sense that from anger and bitterness to just radiant love, Ray. Just radiant love in 1 week. That's the power of emotions that you're talking about. So that's why our title here is Rae of Sunshine. Isn't that perfect, Ray? You're bringing Oh my goodness, I never thought that I would be hearing from you in person. The things I'm reading from Dr. Joe Dispenza, it's like, oh, look at her. She's Dr. Joe in woman's body. Because we're all one, right? So and that's also me activating my reticular activating system.
That's right.
Right. So now that you have, yes, go ahead.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Because Heart Math has the science of what Dr. Joe's talking about, and he has the science too. And I often don't get so deeply into the communication part of emotional intelligence.
Communication, yes.
But what's happening with your sister and using, the science of emotional intelligence is, so we have an electromagnetic field around our body.
Yes, we
our
do.
heart is electric, and we create a magnetic field around our body. So, for example, anywhere there's electricity, a magnetic field is created, around a light socket or anywhere.
Yeah.
So we actually communicate and affect other people through our electromagnetic field. And it does not matter the words that we're saying, because we are radiating our emotional state through this electromagnetic field. So my emotions are affecting you,
Yes.
and your emotions are affecting me, even if we're strangers in the same environment.
Exactly.
And, we may not know the science behind this, but, sometimes you'll go into a room and you'll get the feeling, what's been going on here? Because you can pick up
sense it.
on the
Yeah.
emotions of people that have been in the room. So when your sister is consciously practicing positive emotions, that is being radiated through her electromagnetic field to the family, and they are experiencing her emotions. And here is the most brilliant, beautiful thing. So I teach people how to get coherent. But one of the things, the science is that when I am coherent, you can easily get coherent yourself.
We affect each other.
We affect each other. In fact, Heart Math has a study of 40 people wearing electromagnetic heart monitors, and then they divide the 40 people into 10 groups of 4. In each group, 3 people do a coherence technique to get into that positive heart rhythm. The 4th person is a control, so they don't know. They're wearing the heart monitor, but they don't know, any techniques. And when the 3 people get coherent, the 4th person switches into coherence immediately, even though they're not doing anything.
Amazing.
Because of the effect of the other people.
Amazing.
So when we are experiencing positive emotions, we affect
Yes.
other people. And that is the beauty of anyone learning how to do this consciously.
Yes, exactly. So we have the power to do that consciously if we choose to.
And that will change your whole family environment, your work environment. People sitting on a bus with you will be affected by your emotional state because they're experiencing your electromagnetic field.
Does it happen as well via electronics? I believe it does. So, but tell me the science behind that. If I say, for example, here we are in the studio right now, and we're broadcasting, we're airing through Alexa, Facebook, Google. You can find us there, by the way, YouTube, Spotify. Hey, you can find us. You can watch us on Facebook. Here we go, YouTube, and on Amazon Fire TV. Do we affect our listeners through the electronics?
Absolutely. And here's how we know that we do. When you watch a singer and they're just so experiencing the emotion of their song, and we have an emotional experience of that song, then we're affected. Electronics don't matter at all, or distance doesn't matter. So the science tells us that there's what we call non-local, it's called entanglement. And so we are non-locally entangled. And what that means, non-local, it means there's no distance. You know, we've all heard stories of how the mother knew that her child was in danger even though they were,
True.
you know, across the country, because we are entangled. And
Connected.
particularly with anyone you care about, you are entangled with them, and most of the time they're fine and you're fine, so there's no feeling of it. But when there's extreme danger, then you're like, I need to check on my son.
Right,
You know,
right.
and that is because we're emotionally entangled,
Right.
and we feel, you know, their emotions.
That's so true. That's so true. So there was a practice before. My friend and my spiritual mentor, she said, she was talking to the single ladies at work back in the Philippines. She said, if you're always thinking about how sad your relationships are, how sad your life is, she said, would you like to check at the time we stored music in our iPods. Was that the word iPod, Kuya Yo? No? iPod, yeah? Check your music in your iPods and your MP4s, your CDs, the things that you play, and see if there are sad songs there. You know, mga bigo, failed relationships, what else? All these stories of failure, of unrequited love, you know, of all those things. Oh my God, she said, I deleted them all, and what was left were like 40 songs, 40 happy songs. She said, I never realized I've been listening to powerless songs all my life, you know. So she deleted them all. So I guess that that's a good illustration for what you said about songs, music that affect us, really.
Well, everything is energy.
Yeah.
We're an energy system. And what you put in, you get out. So, you know, if you're putting... So every emotion actually has a signature. It has a shape, a color,
shape. Okay.
and a frequency. And so everything is energy. And when you're consuming emotions that are at a low frequency on the scale, there's a scale of emotions, you know, sadness, depression, grief. Well, then basically you're programming yourself with that low energy.
Yes.
And you cannot experience the world out there different than you're experiencing the world in here. So if you want to change the world out there, you've got to change the world in here.
Right. So true.
So, you know, I know that you study the Course in Miracles,
Yes.
as I do. And, you know, a basic tenet of Course in Miracles is that, you know, everything is neutral. You don't experience anything, you experience your meaning of it.
Yes.
And, you know, for example, in relationships, when your meaning is sad and heartbreak and, you know, unrequited love and all of that, you're not going to attract anything different than the meaning you're giving it.
Because that's inside of you.
Well, we live on resonance.
Yes.
You know, we draw experiences to us that match our emotional
In other
state.
words, we use law of attraction.
Law of attraction is
Yes.
resonance,
Yes.
same frequency.
Right.
And so you're not going to attract what you want out there being the energy of something you don't want in here.
Right.
So your friend was very wise.
Yes. And she became just happier, more vibrant after that. You know, she never got married, but I've never seen her happier. She's just blooming. And this has been going on for over, 15 years? Her life is just blooming. So that's just music. That's just one thing that she deleted from her files, just the music. Now imagine your emails, your photos, your feed, your Facebook feed, your what else? Your Instagram and Twitter, and no more Twitter. What's the name on
X.
Twitter? X. Your X files. Yes. Do you teach all these things in your current company?
absolutely.
P4
Training solutions.
P4 Training Solutions.
Yes.
Before we go into that, Rae, let's hold the audience for now. We're interested in what you offer for everyone, if that's for everyone. Before we go into that, we will take a very short break for our sponsor, who is my co-host Mia. Go ahead, Kuya Yo.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
PHLV Radio.
Welcome back to the show, second half of our show. And On the Dot is brought to you by the University of the Philippines Alumni Association of Nevada. We're having our Christmas party and inauguration. Is that inauguration? Induction of officers together with Alpha Phi Beta fraternity this December 2nd at Suncoast Casino. You're most welcome if you want to join us. And wear your dancing shoes and your nice dresses and nice barong or whatever you want to wear. So we're also thanking our Mia, who is our sponsor, for keeping the show alive right here on PHLV Radio. Mia is not here, she's at work, but she's here in spirit. Mia, you would enjoy this talk with Rae Wilson, our guest, our ray of sunshine for this bright Thanksgiving week. And we're talking about heart math. And at this point, I would like to give the floor to back to Rae to talk to us about her P4 training. Yes, her company. Yes, Rae, tell us about it.
Thank you. Well, P4, it stands for Power, Performance, Presence, and Persuasion.
Is that the title of your book? Is that your book? No?
Well,
It's
let me
different.
tell you about the title of my book. It's kind of a trick.
A trick.
It's a trick.
You're a tricky woman. Okay.
So it says, be your most influential self in every situation. And then the subtitle, Power, Performance, Presence, and Persuasion. And so people may tend to think, oh, I'm going to be the most influential by doing some external thing. But what I really mean by that is by being your optimal self at the highest frequency or at the highest level of consciousness, which is love. And our electromagnetic field follows our emotional state. The most influential person in any situation is the most coherent person,
Okay.
the most loving person, and it's radiated through their electromagnetic field.
The most influential person is the most loving person.
Absolutely.
So if there are 5 people in the room, One is depressed, one is happy, one is chirpy, one is just quiet and full of love, the other one is grumpy. The most influential is not the chirpy, but the one who's quiet and full of love.
Because, as I said before, everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the most coherent person, and coherence is based on your emotional state, and love is one of the highest emotional states. You have the biggest influence.
Mm-hmm.
You have the most radiant and largest electromagnetic field.
The largest.
Yes, your electromagnetic field expands according to your emotional state.
This looks like a donut, right?
It
a
does.
Torus.
It
Yes,
does. That's
yes.
right.
Uh-huh.
I actually brought a few little. They're not very. So you can't really see. It's not very.
Oh, you put it closer to this one. There you go.
So our heart, we radiate this electromagnetic field, and we
Yes.
overlap with other people in our environment, but our field expands or contracts.
Can I have it? I'll
You
take a
may.
photo and
You may
send it to Kuya, and then continue, please.
So our field expands according to our emotional state or contracts, and that's why when you feel sad and depressed, you feel very constricted.
Okay.
So to be your most influential self is to be able to sustain those deep, loving, emotional states. And here's the key: irrespective of what's happening on the outside.
What's the key?
To be able to hold the state no matter
To
what's
be
happening.
able to hold the state.
Because you can't be, your happiness cannot depend on what's happening on the outside. That's very conditional. We need to learn to how to hold that irrespective of what's happening on the outside.
All right. So that takes discipline.
Well,
Not
we
really.
have to examine our thoughts and our beliefs. What are we believing about the world out there that we feel it's affecting us? And, just exactly what your friend did, edited the music she was listening to, editing out the things that don't help you.
Yes, yes.
So what we need to do is become aware of our thoughts and edit out the thoughts that are counterproductive.
Edit out.
I'm not worthy, I'm not
Oh,
good
yeah.
enough, people are smarter than me, I'm not going to succeed, any of those thoughts. Back to Dr. Joe, thoughts that fire together, wire together, and create electromagnetic avenues in our brain. So whatever we think truly becomes wired into our brain. We've got to get conscious of what we're thinking and then start deleting, forgiving, forgetting,
Right.
unwiring those thoughts that are counterproductive.
Correct. So in your company, you lecture on that. No, not just lecture. You teach, you train people.
Yes. So I do a lot of things. I take personal coaching clients, and that is probably my favorite thing to do because I can really get to know them, what they're thinking, what they're believing, and work with them to literally unwire their counterproductive thoughts
Yeah.
and rewire their brain, teach them how to get coherent, teach them to have a truly beneficial self-concept because you don't experiencing anything on the outside that's not equivalent to what you
Yes.
believe on the inside.
Yes.
So I take personal coaching clients. I do masterminds, and I do some group coaching. And I also go into companies from my corporate background and train at companies, emotional intelligence. I do culture initiatives at companies. I coach a lot of corporate executives.
Okay. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Kuya. Yeah.
I've trained at police departments because first responders,
Oh,
we need
yes.
to be, coherence, like I said, it's about being able to hold our state of being in the, high pressure situation.
True.
It's not about going away and being able to recover, which is a good thing, but we need to learn to be able to be coherent no matter what the situation is.
Yes. You know, like to hold your ground in the face of adversity at any time. You know, you're always. I'm not saying that you're always cautious, because some people think that, well, you're too cautious. You're always holding your ground, like there's some attack going on. But it's not that. It is that you're imperturbable. Is that a word?
Yes.
Imperturbable.
Imperturbable. Invulnerable, as the Course would say.
Yes.
In, for more of a layman's term, we don't get triggered.
Okay.
See, emotional intelligence, we all get triggered by old situations that we have beliefs about, and life happens and we get triggered and upset. What we want to learn to do is to unwire those beliefs. So in the face of the thing that would trigger us in the past, we're imperturbable.
I love that. I love that.
So we don't want to change the outside or always avoid triggers.
Oh yeah, you can't.
We want to be able to.
Yeah.
We want to be able to no longer be triggered by those things.
Amen.
And a little caveat that I often say is we want to learn to transform, not to manage.
We want to learn to transform, not to manage.
For example, I've heard people say, I'm going to anger management. And I always say, well, why would you want to manage your anger? Don't you want to transform it so you don't have it anymore?
Oh, that's a great question.
So we don't want to learn coping mechanisms or managing mechanisms. Now, if that's all you've got, fantastic. That's better than not having them. But what we really want to do is to transform the thoughts and beliefs that we have that used to trigger us so that we're not triggered anymore, and then we don't have to manage.
Right. So, Rae, we're talking about transformation, and we're talking about the past. Last week, our guest, Charles Herring, Kumu Charles Herring, he picked the card Fear. All right? So the card Fear is, we're going to show that to you in a little bit. And this is for you to talk about. How do you transform fear? Now, I'm not talking about the state of being, like the opposite of fear is love, but I'm talking about from fear to courage. All right, so I'm going to hand over my cards to you, and tell us how you deal with fear, transform that to courage.
So fear is an emotion. It's low on the emotional scale. It's at a frequency of 100, actually. And so in this scale, 200 is neutral. Anything above 200 is a positive state. Anything below 200 is an incoherent state.
Yes, we're talking about, by the way, is this Dr. David Hawkins' map of consciousness? Okay.
So anything on the lower scale, and fear, is to look at your thoughts to say, is this really true? Whatever I am believing, I'm going to get fired, somebody's going to leave me, I'm going to lose all my money. Whatever it is, fear is simply a thought. The thought is neutral. As the Course tells us, all thoughts are neutral. You're giving it the energy or the belief or the validity. And so it's really to question those thoughts and to, I'm actually a big proponent of Byron Katie's work too.
Yes, the work, yes.
Is it true? And to really examine, is it
true? You
true?
do look like Byron Katie.
I've heard that several times.
Yes.
Is it really true? And then what is the turnaround? But there's a lot of techniques, back in the day, what was his name? He was really well known in his day. It'll come to me. Anyway, he always would say, well, what's the worst that could happen? And can you live with that?
What's the worst that could happen? Can you live with that?
And so it's to really examine what you're thinking and to change the way you're thinking about it. That's the way to undo fear. If you do not change the way you're thinking about it, you cannot change the state of being.
Does fear still exist for you in your life?
Yes, but as soon as I notice the fear comes up, I examine it. I sit down immediately and write out what is the fear. And I go into a state, is it true? Can I really know that it's true? And most of the time, right there,
Can you be
say,
absolutely certain that it is true?
Right.
Who would you be without that thought?
Right.
Yes.
So I will go instantly into examining it. And then, to come up with an opposite statement.
Which is,
Is to come up with a love statement or a courage
love
statement. But,
courage.
Anything that you believe is a limitation. The Bible said all things go for good, work together for good for those that love the Lord. In other words, there's always something good coming out of it.
Yeah.
What is the benefit in this? What is it teaching me? What is the opportunity here? So it is all about examining your thoughts and your beliefs and changing them, unwiring them, creating a greater self-concept.
Do you do specific to fear, for example? People say, oh, but fear is necessary, like something tells you you're afraid to go into that room. There must be something there, and you need to follow that. I would qualify that as intuition. But how can you be certain that it is your intuition guiding you to not do that versus fear? Don't do that because it's
Right.
I'm afraid.
So there's sort of two types of fear. The one type of fear is I'm being chased by a bear. I should run.
Okay.
Or if you in that moment get the instinct I shouldn't go in, then you shouldn't go in. Whether there's something that's going to get you or not, follow the instinct. So there's that in the moment type of fear,
Yeah.
which is really adrenaline in your
Yeah.
body. But the pervasive fears of, I'm going to get fired, somebody's going to leave me, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Those ones are definitely not true
Yes.
and must be examined because those can always be rewired and changed. But the intuition, follow your intuition. And it's just, they're different type of fears.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Very enlightening. That now I would have an answer to someone who says, but shouldn't your fear propel you to escape a situation because there's fire or there are thugs there? I would say yes, it's my spirit guiding me not to go there. It's not really fear, but it's like you said, I like that you said.
Well,
it's adrenaline, or it's
so
it's a
going back,
guidance.
It is guidance. Going back to the electromagnetic field, if you are put in a danger situation, you will be picking up on the electromagnetic
yes.
field
True.
or the energy in the environment, and it will give you the signal, don't go in there, and you should follow that. This electromagnetic field is there to guide us. That's an in-the-moment communication.
Yeah.
The fear of all that runs in our mind, the monkey mind that tells us all these stories, is a different type of thing
Yeah.
than that instinctual communication
right.
that you're getting.
That's true. That's true. So yes, there we have it. From fear to courage. The other card is courage, and I forgot what it says. Can you read what it says?
I find the inner strength, isn't that funny? Inner strength, what we're talking about, to face fear with confidence.
To face fear with confidence. Exactly. You're facing fear by what did you say? You examine it. You examine it. You write it down.
You should never the fear-based thoughts should never be avoided. because they're still there and they're not going to go away by avoiding them. That's managing and coping. They're still there, always following you. So we have to sit down and say, all right, let me really look at this and undo it.
Yeah. So to have the courage to
Right, to
look,
face it. Yeah,
to face
absolutely.
Yeah. So far, Rae, how are you doing in our little conversation?
Well, I am loving it. Anytime that I get to join a friend and talk about the thing that I love more than
Yes.
anything in the world, it's a beautiful experience.
Where can people buy your book?
My book
You wanna
is
show
available
that?
on
Yes.
Amazon. Yeah, it's available on Amazon.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay,
That's
very
where
good.
it's at.
Are you coming up with another one?
I am. I have been feeling this internal push because I wrote this about 4 years ago. This internal push to really to write about love, the virtue of love.
The virtue of love.
Right, because love, while we think of it, a lot of times in romantic ways, it's a state of being. It's a state of living. It's a state of evaluating how you're going to be in this world. It's just living in that higher state of consciousness.
I like that. It's not going to be a love story.
No, it's
No.
you're
But
the
there
love
will be love
story.
stories.
You
It's-
are you
you are
are
the
your
sto-
own love story.
You are your own love story. I like what you're doing for Thanksgiving, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Rae, before we go, I have no quote. Mia usually ends us with a quote. But before you go, I'd like for you to pick a number from 1 to 12. This will determine our topic for next week. So go ahead.
3.
1, 2, 3. Ooh, whoever our guest will be, I hope he or she is okay with this. It's indecision versus purpose. Indecision and purpose. So we're going to talk about that with our next guest. Okay. He says, I will show it. Alrighty. Is that what you want, Kuya Yo? Alright. But I will show you the card I will take a photo of that and give it to you, Kuya Yo. Indecision and purpose. So today we tackled fear and courage. We tackled emotional intelligence and electromagnetic field and your book, Rae. So what's in it for you for the next, this coming year? What's your biggest vision for yourself this year?
Well, my continuous vision for myself is to do what I love, which is teaching emotional intelligence to more people, having a broader reach in what I'm doing, because it is truly my purpose, for that next week's card. It's my purpose to, one of the reasons I teach is in business settings or corporate settings or to a lot of, small business owners or executives, is I used to be on this side of the thought of being stressed out and exhausted. And it's like, if I would have known then what I know now, I could have had the same experience without the stress. And so that's why I'm really passionate about teaching people to be even more successful in whatever they're doing,
Right.
but without the stress, with
Without
the
the
joy
stress.
of doing it.
I love that. How do
Yeah.
people get in touch with you?
My website is p4trainingsolutions.com.
You have a website, p4trainingsolutions.com.
You can email me at raywilson@p4trainingsolutions.
Okay.
And
I
or
think
you
that's
can
it. Yeah.
call me. There's my number, 208-691-1985.
All right, 208-691-1985. And you can replay this this episode of On the Dot if you want to get in touch with Rae, get her details. If you want to invite her to power up your company, with love and whatever. Coherence. Is that a good word? We want to say hello to Adele. Thank you, Adele, for for watching us today and almost every time. Adele is always present in PHLV Radio's events. And thank you so much, Adele, for saying hi to me, Mia, and our guest, Rae. Yes. So,
Hi,
Rae,
Adele.
any other closing remarks that you would offer our listeners?
Well, being the week of Thanksgiving, and I love the fact that you've been consciously being grateful for a very long time, because that's a very high emotional state.
Yeah.
I just really wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving, and to truly be in the state of gratitude. It is very self-supportive.
Yes. I like that. Gratitude is very self-supportive.
And for whoever's in your environment, because they'll experience your gratitude.
Because we affect each other.
That's right.
We are entangled.
We are
We're
entangled.
linked to each other. Yes, we are. And so I guess that ends our show for today, Rae.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for inviting me to
Thank you so
speak.
much. Thank you so much for giving us a ray of your bright sunshine this Thanksgiving week. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. If you're not into turkey eating, then eat something nutritious and delicious and enjoy each other. Love you. Bye. See you next
Bye.
week.
Thank you.
Mia, we miss you.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.